Now, honorable senators, I have the following message to pass to you. I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 48, I received the following message from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru regarding the passage by the County Assembly of a motion pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act for the removal from office by way of impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. The message was transmitted to the Senate via letter reference number M/Volume 4/43, dated Thursday, 26 October 2023, signed by the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru and received in my office on Friday, 27th October 2023. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 48.5 of the Senate, I shall now report the message to the Senate. This is to inform you that on Wednesday, the 25th day of October 2023, the County Assembly of Meru, via the resolution of the Assembly and pursuant to the provisions of Article 181 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, 2012, as read together with the provisions of Standing Order number 65 of the County Assembly of Meru, Standing Orders, approve the motion to remove from office the Governor of Meru County by way of impeachment. The purpose of this letter is to, therefore, inform you of the aforementioned resolution and to forward the same to your esteemed office in line with the provisions of Section 33(2)(a) of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order 65(6) of the County Assembly of Meru Standing Orders for your further action. Attached herewith, please find a schedule containing the bundle of documents, records containing evidence adduced, notes and records of proceedings before the County Assembly for your reference and records. Senator Sifuna, just walk in. Now, honorable senators, as stated in the letter from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru, the following documents were forwarded to the Senate, being the record of the proceedings of the County Assembly and the evidence adduced in support of the impeachment motion. 1. Copy of approved notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor dated 16th of October 2023. 2. Order papers for the County Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 17th October, morning sitting, and Wednesday 25th October 2023, morning sitting. 3. Certified Hansard reports of the Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 17th of October 2023, morning sitting, and Wednesday 25th October 2023, morning sitting. 4. Certified Hansard reports of the Assembly sittings held on Wednesday 18th of October 2023, afternoon sitting, and Wednesday 14th June 2023, afternoon sitting. 5. Copy of certified signatures of County Assembly members in support of the impeachment motion for the removal from office of the Governor of Meru County, dated 25th of October 2023. Certified copy of a roll call vote of Wednesday 25th of October 2023 on the motion for the impeachment of the Governor of Meru County. Copies of the County Assembly reports referred to during the debate on the motion for removal of the Governor of Meru County. To wit, A, report of the Select Committee on the County Budget and Appropriations on the budget estimates of the County Government of Meru for the financial year 2023-2024, dated 13th June 2023. B, report of the Sectoral Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Cohesion on the compliant by His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Meru County, to the County Assembly against his alleged exclusion from the County Executive Committee meetings and non-facilitation of his office, dated 17th of October 2023. And C, response to petition number 4 of 2023, urging the County Assembly of Meru to investigate the alleged illegal employment of traffic marshals by Her Excellency, the Governor, Meru County, and alleged illegal traffic charges by the Meru County Enforcement Department. Copy of a letter reference number Dome/1 2023, dated 24th of October 2023, by Mrs. Dunstan Omari and Associates Advocates, addressed to the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru. 9. Copies of newspaper advertisement appearing on the Standard and Daily Nation of Wednesday, 18th of October 2023, and copies of invoices for radio advertisement in Muya FM, calling for submission of memoranda on the notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County. 10. A HP flash disk 2 GB containing video annexures evidencing the particulars alleged in the motion, as well as a voice advertisement on the public participation on the motion run on Meru FM and approved notice of motion and exhibits. 11. Copy of public participation report dated 25th of October 2023, laid on the table of the Assembly on Wednesday, 25th October 2023. 12. Copies of written memoranda, both in support and against the impeachment, from different sub-counties and regions, submitted to the County Assembly during the public participation exercise on the motion. And lastly, a booklet of the third edition of the County Assembly of Meru Standing Orders. Now, Honorable Senators, in terms of Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33(3)(a) of the County Governments Act, and Standing Orders 81(a) of the Senate Standing Orders, the Speaker of the Senate is required, within 7 days after receiving notice of the resolution from the Speaker of the County Assembly, to convene a meeting of the Senate to hear charges against the Governor. Pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(a) of the Senate Standing Orders, I hereby proceed to read the charges against the Governor of Meru County as contained in the motion of impeachment by the County Assembly of Meru. Senator, kindly take a seat. Charge number 1, misappropriation and misuse of county resources. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, embezzled county funds through the Governor's relatives, 2, withdrew county funds through false claims of payment for supplies and services rendered by the Governor's relatives, despite being ineligible to tender for or supply goods to the county government. 3, paid full salaries and benefits for over a year to 4 high-ranking county officials, despite their not rendering any services to the county. And 4, diverted and misused county resources, including funds and motor vehicles, to support the Governor's private charity, dubbed Okelea, despite previous promises to keep county operations and Okelea operations separate. Charge number 2, nepotism and related unethical practices. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, fraudulently represented unqualified relatives as technical team for medical equipment inspection in China. 2, employed 1, Edwin Mutuma Murangiri, a nephew to her husband, in key county positions. And 3, designated her brother-in-law, Nefat Kinyua, as Director of External Linkages without transparent and competitive recruitment. And lastly, assigned diplomatic duties with engagement with foreign diplomats and dignitaries to unqualified relatives. Charge number 3, bullying, vilification, and demeaning other leaders. The particulars of this allegation are that the Governor, 1, excluded the Deputy Governor from County Executive Committee meetings and other official functions. 2, engaged in bullying and posted demeaning messages about the Deputy Governor in WhatsApp groups known as Third Government 012 and County Admin Services, whose membership includes several officers. Illegally, irregularly, and fraudulently hounded the Deputy Governor's staff out of office by purporting to accept their non-existent resignations. arbitrarily reduced, suspended, and withdrew budgetary facilitations for legitimate operations of the Deputy Governor's office, threatened to inflict bodily harm against the Deputy Governor orally and in a WhatsApp chat, forcefully broke into and ransacked the Deputy Governor's office. 10, changed the locks to the said office. 11, arbitrarily relocated the Deputy Governor's office. 12, arbitrarily withdrew security from the Deputy Governor's residence. 13, persistently made demeaning public utterances against other elected leaders, despite the same issue featuring prominently in previous impeachment proceedings. 14, made insightful, insulting, and demeaning remarks against other leaders by falsely accusing them of cartelism at a presidential Thanksgiving service held in Lare, despite the issue arising in previous impeachment proceedings. And lastly, encouraged, connived, and condoned her husband's insulting and demeaning public utterances and musical performances against other elected leaders, despite the issue arising in previous impeachment proceedings. Charge number 4, illegal appointments and usurpation of statutory powers. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1, appointed Kenneth Mwiti Riungu as chief officer without county assembly approval. 2, sent Dr. Nitoiti, CEO of the County Revenue Board, Paul Mwaki, CEO of Liquor Board, Kenneth Kimanthi Mbaye, Managing Director of Meru Microfinance Corporation, and Joseph Kithure Mberia, CEO, Meru County Water and Sanitation Services, on indefinite compulsory leave with full salary and benefits in usurpation of powers of the appointing authorities. 3, deployed other persons to perform the functions of those sent on compulsory leave in breach of a court order. 4, appointed unqualified persons as acting chief officers without the requisite competitive recruitment and recommendation from the County Public Service Board. 5, recruited traffic marshals without involving the County Public Service Board, disregarding the criteria for establishing county officers. 6, usurped the powers of the County Public Service Board by creating traffic marshal officers. 7, employed an excessive workforce of over 100 personnel staff in the governor's office. 8, designated and paid various cleaners as senior support staff, despite already having 16 support staff. And lastly, appointed 4 individuals to hold county offices in an acting capacity for more than 6 months without proper authorization. Charge number 5, contempt of court. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1, grossly violated Article 10 and 73 of the Constitution. 2, Section 7, grossly violated Section 7 of the Leadership and Integrity Act and Section 10 of the Public Officers Ethics Act by engaging in a contemptuous, stubborn refusal to obey lawful court orders. Charge number 6, illegally naming a public road after her husband. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1, grossly violated Articles 10 and 73 of the Constitution and Section 7 and 11(1)(c) of the Meru County Honors and Awards Act 2018 by naming a public road after her husband without following the applicable statutory procedures. Charge number 7, contempt of the Assembly. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor did the following. 1, refused to honor summons from the County Assembly's Sectoral Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Cohesion to answer questions related to the impeachment motion. 2, directed her Chief of Staff to send a contemptuous letter to the Assembly in response to the summons for her to appear before the Sectoral Committee. And 3, through the CC Finance and the County Secretary, refused to furnish documents to the Assembly on the grounds that an audit process was underway and that the matters raised by the Assembly was sub judice. Now, honorable senators, in terms of the way forward, following the reading of the charges against the governor, Standing Order 81B of the Senate Standing Orders, as read together with Section 33, subsection 3B of the County Governments Act, gives the Senate two options on how to proceed with the matter. The Senate may, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter, or investigate the matter in plenary. At an appointed time during this sitting, a notice of motion for the establishment of a special committee shall be given. Should this motion be carried, the special committee will be required under Section 33(4) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 82 of the Senate to investigate the matter and to report to the Senate on whether it finds the particulars of allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. In the event that the motion for the establishment of a special committee does not pass, the fallback position is that the Senate shall proceed to investigate and consider the matter in plenary. In this event, I will appoint the dates on which the Senate will sit in plenary to hear and determine the charges against the governor. Honorable senators, it is noteworthy, and I wish to emphasize to all honorable senators, that when we come to the debate on the motion for the establishment of the special committee, debate on the motion shall be limited to the substance of the motion, principally whether or not to establish a special committee. It will not be a debate on the substance of the impeachment or its merits, propriety, prudence, or even the constitutionality or the legality of the process that have been preceded the submission of this matter to the Senate. It is therefore not permissible to deviate to any matters other than the motion before the Senate. In the meantime, and during the pendency of the impeachment process in the Senate, I wish to caution honorable senators to desist from publicly commenting on the merits or demerits of the impeachment motion before the Senate. Doing so would amount to anticipation of debate, which is an infringement of Standing Order 99. Therefore, it shall be out of order within the meaning of Standing Order 122 for any senator to make comments, whether written or spoken, in relation to the conduct of the governor or the impeachment process, which is outside the confines of the impeachment proceedings, as such comments may prejudice the just outcome of the process. Now, honorable senators, this is the third impeachment hearing in the 13th Parliament, and the second one involving the governor in question. In undertaking this mandate, the Senate will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body and will conduct investigations into the alleged infractions of the Constitution and the law, and thereafter make its determination on the matter. As such, it is a reminder that the impeachment hearing is not just a procedural formality, but a fundamental process that plays a crucial role in upholding the principles of democracy and good governance. This hearing is one of the most crucial oversight tools and singular roles of the Senate. I conclude by urging honorable senators to exercise the highest level of responsibility on this particular matter. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads, Transport and Housing. Senator Karungo. Senator, I just called the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads, Transport and Housing, Labor and Social Welfare, to present a report. Are you ready with your report, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following petition report on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on a petition to the Senate by Mr. Mwangaza regarding the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Chiromo along Waiyaki Way in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, the petition regarding the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Chiromo, Nairobi, was presented on 19th April 2023 and committed to the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation and Housing for consideration. Mr. Speaker, sir, this petition was presented by Mr. Mwangaza, whose prayer was that a pedestrian bridge be constructed at Chiromo area, Nairobi. In the consideration of the petition, Mr. Speaker, the committee engaged the Ministry of Roads and Transport, which committed to construct pedestrian bridges at 5 points along Waiyaki Way. Mr. Speaker, sir, whereas the Ministry of Roads and Transport was not committed on the timelines when the construction of the pedestrian bridges would commence, the committee has proposed implementation of milestone that will hasten the process of committee of budget for construction of the pedestrian bridges. The committee, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, honorable senators. Kindly take your seats and may the senator be heard in silence. Senator Gloria. Senator Omtata.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The committee has also made recommendation in this report for implementation of short-term speed control measures to ensure pedestrian safety when crossing the highway. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee did not meet the petitioner, and I underline, we did not meet the petitioner because it was difficult to reach him, because at the time of submitting the petition, he never left his email, his telephone number, or any contact, Mr. Speaker. And as such, the committee has proposed an amendment to the standing orders of the Senate to provide as a condition of admitting petitions that petitioners should provide their telephone contacts, email addresses, so as to enhance communication between the House and the petitioners, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we never called that petition a ghost petition. Despite not reaching the petitioner, we worked diligently, and the department has committed to construct 5 pedestrian crossing bridges along Waiyaki Way. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Senator Abbas. And Majority Leader, you are consulting rather loudly. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following petitions report on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, and petitions to the Senate by the Julius Warugu Wanjohi concerning the lack of implementation of the resolution to absorb contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Program by the County Government of Nyeri. Honorable Speaker, on 11th May 2023, the Senate received a petition from Julius Warugu Wanjohi concerning the lack of implementation of a resolution to absorb the contracted instructors under the Economic Stimulus Plan by the County Government of Nyeri. The petition was presented in the Senate on Wednesday, 24th May 2023, to the Deputy Speaker, by the Deputy Speaker Senator Kaduri Murungi, MP, pursuant to Standing Order 223(1)A of the Senate Standing Orders. Consequently, the petition stood committed to the committee of pursuant to Standing Order 238(1) of the Standing Order of the Senate Standing Order. Honorable Speaker, the issue raised in the petition was that in July 1989, the petitioner was employed by the...
Order, honorable senators. May the senator be heard in silence, please. Senator Mundigi and my deputy speaker.
The petitioner was employed by the Ministry of Education as a carpentry instructor 2 and posted to Kagudu Youth Polytechnic in Nyeri. Following the Constitution of 2010, the advent of devolution, the youth polytechnic training functions was subsequently transferred to the county government pursuant to the 4th schedule of this Constitution of 2010. As a result, all the staff who were in the counties in the 4th schedule, and performing devolved functions were deemed to continue providing services. In addition, on 2nd December 2014, a consultative meeting was held between the Ministry of Devolution and the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology and the Transition Authority to address the numerous issues that were facing the transition of youth polytechnics. The meeting resolved, among others, that the contracts of the instructors under the Economic Stimulus Plan to be extended to up to 30th June 2015, and thereafter the instructors be absorbed by the county governments on permanent and pensionable terms. The county governments were required to make budgetary provisions to pay the staff following the passage of the County Allocation Revenue Act. Further, the Transition Authority communicated the resolution to the county government for implementation, and thereby several counties implemented the resolution except the county of Nyeri. Mr. Speaker, sir, the petitioner's prayers were the Senate to look into the matter with a view of ensuring that amicable solutions into the issues raised in the petition, as well as make any other relevant recommendations in these considerations of petition. The committee thereafter proceeded to consider the petition extensively and the submission received thereon. Honorable Speaker, it is noted that the Governor of Nyeri, Honorable Mutai Kaiga, being a key respondent to the issue raised, the petition was invited and actually appeared before the committee, together with other officials from the county, where he made submissions on the issue raised in the petition. The petitioners were also present in the meeting that was held on Monday, 31st July 2023. Upon deliberation on the submission, the committee resolved that they will give 21 days for the county government to attempt to resolve the matter at the county level and report back their decision to the committee. The committee received the written response on 24th August 2023. Upon consideration of the response, the committee made various observations and recommendations which are set in Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 of this report, respectively. Honorable Speaker, the subject matter, the committee recommended on the petition as follows. The subject matter in the petition was canvassed in court, where the suit was dismissed. The petitioners failed to follow through with the bill. Further, prior to the hearing of the case number 264 of 2017, Joseph Kitonga Washira and 41 others versus the county government and 2 others that resulted to mediation efforts be made between the parties who included the petitioners. Nyeri County Government and the Nyeri County Public Service Board had failed. The committee therefore finds that the petitioners had not exhausted the court process to address their grievances. The committee therefore finds prayers of the petitioners to the Senate not merited. However, the petitioners may consider further engaging with the Nyeri County Government and the Nyeri County Public Service Board through alternative dispute resolutions mechanism to conclusively deal with the matter. The Intergovernmental Relations, who took over the functions of the Transition Authority, Council of Governors, and the Public Service Board, National Consultative Forum, should engage with a view of determining and resolving the issues of the status of the grant instructors. A report on the resolution should be submitted to the Senate within 90 days upon the adoption of this report. The Intergovernmental Relations and the Council of Governors shall submit a report to the Senate on the employment of the status of the employees seconded to the government, the county government, on the onset of devolution. Among them is the early childhood development education, that's ECD, teachers, technical and vocational education and training teachers, community health volunteers, among others. 4, the Intergovernmental Relations should conduct an audit on the status of the transfer of functions and the 4th schedule of the Constitution and submit a report to the committee. This should highlight the status of the youth polytechnic functions, which is the main issue in the petition, hence guiding on the measures to be taken, resolved, and the other related issues. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank the officers of the Speaker, may I take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to commend the members of the committee for their devotion. I also wish to thank the office of the Speaker and the clerk for the support. Mr. Speaker, therefore, my pleasant duty, I present to Standing Order 2284 to present the report. It is therefore my pleasant duty, pursuant to Standing Order 228, 4A, to present the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution, Intergovernmental Relations on its considerations petition concerning the lack of implementation of resolution to observe the contracted instructors under the Economic Stability Plan by the county government. I beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following petition report on the table of the Senate today, 31st of October 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a petition to the Senate by Benson Nyaga Kagete concerning the recognition and remuneration of village elders under the Nyumba Kumi initiative. Mr. Speaker, the petition by Benson Nyaga was presented to the Senate on 21st June 2023, following which it was committed to the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations for consideration. Pursuant to Standing Order
Senator Karungo and team.
Pursuant to Standing Order 238-1, Mr. Speaker, the committee was required to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the major issues raised in the petition were as follows. 1, village elders play an integral role in the functioning of the national government at village level by helping chiefs and assistant chiefs in the maintenance of law and order, promoting of education and promotion of development through the Nyumba Kumi initiative. 2, these officers discharge these important roles without any remuneration by the government. Hence, they are not motivated. Number 3, there is no law regulating or guiding the observation of employment of the village elders into the existing governance structure. In particular, the National Government Coordination Act, number 1 of 2013, does not define a village as the lowest administrative unit after a sublocation. Number 5, Mr. Speaker, there is need to put in place criteria for the establishment of a village considering the population, geographical, and subcultural factors. Mr. Speaker, in light of the above, the petitioner praised that Senate A. amends the National Government Coordination Act number 1 of 2013 to provide for the village as the lowest administrative unit after sublocation and establishment of a village council. 2, cause the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to develop a comprehensive policy and recruitment and remuneration of the village elders, and in particular, a policy to cover the terms of engagement, functions of the village elders, criteria for recruitment and termination of engagement. And thirdly, Mr. Speaker, make any other order that deems fit in the circumstances in the petition. Mr. Speaker, in considering the petition, the committee first met with the petitioner to better understand the issues raised in the petition and the remedies that he sought from the committee and the Senate. The committee subsequently held meetings with the Council of Governors, Mr. Joseph Kaguthi, EBS, former chairman of the Nyumba Kumi Initiative Task Force, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior, and to deliberate on and receive submissions on the petition. These are summarized, Mr. Speaker, in Chapter 2 of the report, which we have tabled today. The committee made the following observations, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude. The committee observed that there was a misconstruction of village elders and Nyumba Kumi officials by the petitioner. Whereas the village elders have been playing critical role at the local level, Nyumba Kumi officials were introduced with the introduction of the Nyumba Kumi initiative as a model for community policing. Nyumba Kumi officials are elected from its membership and range from women, youth, and elders. There exists an adequate legal framework on the establishment of village elders in a decentralized of the county governments, the establishment of the village councils and remuneration of village elders under Section 48, 52, 53, and 54 of the County Government Act number 17 of 2012. The committee observed that in a majority of the counties, a ward is divided into 2, 3, and 4 village units. Further, Section 52 and 53 of the County Government Act, number 17 of 2012, provide for the establishment of the office of the village administrator and village councils, comprising of not less than 3 and not more than 5 village elders for the coordination and management of general administration functions in the villages. Section 53, subsection 4, Mr. Speaker, provided that the elders shall be paid allowances and shall be determined by the respective county assemblies. And that's a very important point, Mr. Speaker. And Section 41 of the National Police Service Act of 2011, which establishes the county policing authority, is yet to be elected by the counties. So far, no county has an existing county policing authority whose function is to provide a platform through which the public participates on all the aspects of relating to county policing and ensuring policing accountability to the public and receiving reports from community policing forums and committees. Mr. Speaker, the committee further observes that the National Government Coordination Act Bill, the National Government Coordination Amendment Bill, Bill number 13 of 2023, sponsored by Honorable Moses Malulu, MP, was read a first time in the National Assembly on 7th of June 2023. And the bill, Mr. Speaker, was developed to amend the National Coordination Act to recognize the village elders who performs national government functions, seek to take cognizance of existing village units and provide for establishment of village councils and appointment of village elders, as well as payment of allowances. And further proposes that village units should have village councils headed by a village administrator working with the village elders. Mr. Speaker, in light of the observations made, the committee therefore recommends as follows. 1, that the National Government Coordination Act number 1 of 2013 and the County Government Act number 17 of 2012 be reviewed and amended in order to ensure harmonization in the establishment, structure, and functions of the village elders at both the county and the national levels. Recommendation number 2, Mr. Speaker, is that in order to fully realize the gains of community policing initiatives at the county level, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration shall implement the provisions of Section 41 of the National Police Service Act, number 11A of 2011, through the establishment of the county policing authorities at the county levels and provide a status report to the Senate within 6 months from the date of this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. So order number 5, papers.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 31st October 2023. 1, the 17th edition of the biannual report on the status of the alcohol drug abuse control in Kenya. 2, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Iten County Referral Hospital, County Government of Elgeyo Marakwet for the year ended 30th June 2022. 3, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, County Government of Nandi for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Karutu Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kiambu for the year ended 30th June 2022. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kinango Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Kwale for the year ended 30th June 2022. Lastly, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Karatina Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nyeri for the year ended 30th June 2023. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights.
When you hear the allegations that have been read by yourself, Mr. Speaker, the only way to be able to give both the people of Meru and the governor, who is now on trial at this chamber, an opportunity to be able to get justice is by allowing a committee to be able to sit down and go through all those documents. A committee, Mr. Speaker, will also get an opportunity to be able to invite the controller of budget, where the allegation of misappropriation, Mr. Speaker, so that they can be able to look at the substance of the matter. Mr. Speaker, when you...
What is the point of order, Senator Chiranke?
Mr. Speaker, I refer to your earlier ruling and direction that you give that in the debate and moving of the motion of such nature, the form, substance should not be referred at any given point. And Mr. Speaker, can you rule the mover of the motion, Senate Minority Whip, to be totally out of order by trying to engage on the form, substance, and the process, even invoking that control of budget will be invited, the documentation. I thought, Mr. Speaker, you guided Solomonically through the wisdom of Solomon by saying that it is only the procedure and the process. Could it be called out of order, Mr. Speaker, sir? Thank you.
Honorable Minority Whip, just confine your moving speech as you move this motion to the merits of having a special committee as opposed to the plenary. Just convince your colleagues
Thank you, Mr.
why you feel a special committee
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
is more
Speaker,
effective compared to
Mr.
a plenary.
Speaker, the Hansard will bear me witness. I will not stand here and assume to know the merits and demerits of the charges of the impeachment. Mr. Speaker, what I referred to is solely what you read as the charges. And the only way that I'm trying to persuade my colleagues is to be able to think critically about the position that they'll be given in this House to analyze the evidence which shall be induced in this House by the Assembly as well as by the county governor who is now being accused here. Mr. Speaker, I have demonstrated clearly, and this is why I want to plead with my brother, particularly Senator from Nandi, because we have sat in these chambers together. We have looked at documents and documents. We have played some videos here. Sometimes they don't play very well. When we were impeaching other governors, if you compare apples to apples, Mr. Speaker, you will find that the only time you can be able to give justice to an impeachment process is when distinguished men and women, 9 of them, 11 of them, who have been proposed, who we are proposing today, sit down, go through the evidence so that, even though this is a political process, Mr. Speaker, you clearly indicated, and this is as per Article 125 of the Constitution of Kenya, that whenever we sit, we have the same powers as the High Court. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade this House, both sides of the divide, to consider giving these 11 distinguished senators an opportunity to go through the evidence. Mr. Speaker, I note clearly. Now, what is the point of order?
Proceed and conclude, Senator. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I note clearly that the majority side proposed the members who sat on the previous committee. There is logic there, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, because they got an opportunity to go through the evidence which were adduced by the Assembly when they were impeaching the governor. Mr. Speaker, I see wisdom there. I know, Mr. Speaker, that during the impeachment of Governor Wambora, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya had a committee of 11. And when the governor was brought back here...
Order, honorable senators. Let us make progress. Proceed, Senator Ledama. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When, Mr. Speaker, please protect me from...
Senator, you're fully protected. Can
Thank
you proceed,
Mr. Speaker.
please?
Mr. Speaker, I would wish that my brother would be able to go and take the Hansard of this House, because what I'm saying is factual. When Senator Boni Halwale, and I'm very happy to see him being proposed here to sit in this committee, and trust me, Mr. Speaker, this House will decide. And the beauty of this process going through a committee is because the Senate will be given a second chance, to be able to have a bite on the cherry, Mr. Speaker. Because the moment it goes to the committee, it will also be able
Honorable
to come-
Senators, order.
You will
make those points when you're debating.
I'm
this
solely
motion.
moving.
Proceed.
And I want to convince
Reserve
you.
your comments to the contribution.
Mr. Speaker, the beauty of me moving is that you have the liberty of saying yes or no. You know, you can actually be able to say, I do not support the committee way,
Proceed,
which will be
Senator.
the proper. So, Mr. Speaker, for me to be able to make out my case, I want to persuade senators. You represent 47 counties. You serve in committees. When you sit in these committees, most of the time you go through volumes of documents to be able to interrogate governors. If you do not take the time to be able to look at the evidence properly, you will be doing this House a disservice. Mr. Speaker, I sat on this same chair when we were removing Governor Mike Mbovi Songo. And on that particular day, Mr. Speaker, the senators did not even have a chance to interrogate the governor who was being removed. The two lawyers made their cases there, and then after that, we went on camera. After going on camera, we came back in and we voted. I want to beseech these members, honorable members who are here. I'm not discussing on the merits or demerits of the case. All I'm saying is that I'd like to persuade you to consider giving these 11, Mr. Speaker, can you please protect me from the back and forth shouts from
Senator
Senator Cherargei?
you only speak through the chair. So don't engage your colleague directly.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I think we're all grown up.
Just proceed,
You know,
Senator Ledama.
So, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with you that ultimately the 47 delegations will make their choice. They will decide whether to impeach, to confirm the impeachment of the governor, or whether to give the governor another second chance to continue. The only thing that I want to persuade you today is that for the history of this nation, and also for the importance of this House, whenever you point a finger, remember there is a finger which is pointing right back at you. And the impeachment process is a very painful process to go through. And it is important for us to know the consequences and also the unintended consequences. I don't really care how anyone votes. I think all of us will vote based on their own conscience. What I care is on the process of coming up to that vote. And this is why I want to persuade you that a committee will be able to give you and yourself and myself an opportunity to read a report that 11 distinguished members of this House would have already carried out an investigation on. They'll be able to tell you whether those charges have been substantiated or they have not been substantiated. Number two, Mr. Speaker, anything we do in this House goes on record. I'm very happy to propose the committee way because of two reasons, so that I can be able to request my distinguished Senator Asigi to second. When we go through the committee, it will not be sitting here and listening to two lawyers. It will be our colleagues telling us that we went through the documentation and we found A, B, C, and D. And based on this, these are our observations and these are our recommendations. That is issue number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, it will also give us an opportunity to be able to show Kenyans and the world who are watching that the Senate, even though it is not a court of law, can be able to carry out the functions. Please, let me finish, and then you can call your point of orders.
Senator Cherargei, what is your point of order? The very last point of order on this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I hope it's not the last for the day. I have several. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 105 of the Standing Orders and Standing Order 80, is it in order for Senator Ledama Olekina, the mover of motion, to mislead us and the public that when it goes to special committee, it is the only time the feedback is only through our members. Yet he knows very well as a senior ranking member that when a governor appears through plenary, he or she has an option of either representing herself or himself or through legal representatives, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order to mislead the country that the only point, as per standing 105, Mr. Speaker? No, stop pointing at me. We are not in somewhere maandamano, my friend.
Senator
Stop
Sifuna.
pointing at me.
Senator Cherangei. Senator Fonandi. No, Senator Sifuna, it is only the chair who determines whether a point of order stands or is overruled. So you've made your point of order. Kindly take your seat.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Take your seat. Senator Ledama, proceed. That does not warrant being called a point of order. Just proceed and conclude.
Mr. Speaker, those are points of annoyance. Because, Mr. Speaker, I am not discussing the merits or demerits of the case. I'm only trying to demonstrate to my colleagues why I'm proposing the committee way. I want to plead with you to listen to me, give me an ear. Ultimately, you will make the decision. Because for me today, having been considering myself as a ranking member of this House, I've sat through maybe 4 or 5 impeachment processes. The reason why I'm suggesting to you that you should consider passing this resolution is because I have experience. Mr. Speaker, it will be upon the 47 delegations to make a decision on whichever way they want to deal with this matter. I've told you the advantages of a committee, and I've also told you the disadvantages of a plenary. The reason why I believe, and this is the point that I was trying to prosecute earlier, that a committee is which would be able to give the people of Meru and the governor justice, is because as we sit here, as per Article 125, we are sitting with the powers that we have are quasi-judicial. We have the same powers as the High Court. So when you make a decision, it is imperative and important that we become future-centric, in the sense that whatever decision we make today, when we stand here to defend whichever way, either to send the governor home or to save the governor, it is something which will go on record, and your children and your future generation will be able to look back and say, that house. Because, Mr. Speaker, I consider this house the house of union, the house of reason. This is the only house, Mr. Speaker, where a senator from Lamu, who has got maybe 120,000 people, will sit, 90,000, will sit with a senator of Nairobi, who has got about 5 million people, and each one of them will have one vote. That is why I say it is a house of union. We are called upon, Mr. Speaker, to oversight our counties. You know, and that is the reason why we are the court that will decide, will be able to trial. Because one thing I want to remind my colleagues is that we do not impeach a governor. The Senate does not impeach a governor. The governor is impeached at the county assembly. The only thing we do is to confirm the charges. We are sitting as judges. And that is why I'm pleading with you that for us to be able to understand this process very well, I'm pleading with you that we go the committee way, trust distinguished men and women who represent counties and who represent the Senate of the Republic of Kenya to go through the documentation, come back and tell us, colleagues, distinguished senators, this is what we have found. We do it very well. I'm one of those people who believe that sitting here, and you will see, you will go through the experience if you choose to go the plenary way. You will get bored here, you will walk out, the two lawyers will rant, they will say whatever they want to say, you know. And you know, Senator Cherargei, through the Speaker, as I conclude.
Order, Senator Cherargei, Senator Gloria.
As you will have an opportunity to make your case.
We are not in a soccer match where you can boo when you don't like the player.
You know,
This is the plenary. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I now understand why a former colleague said that if, let me quit it there. It is important for us to reason. And I want to plead with you, as I call my colleague, the distinguished Senator Asige, to be able to second this motion, to consider the committee way. Because today you're sitting there, tomorrow you'll be a governor. And when you are governor, you'd want to be given an opportunity to be heard and to be given an opportunity for you to be able to be asked questions and represent. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I move, I hope that wisdom will prevail and that the distinguished senator who was told that if the president was thinking like him will not have a country will actually see sense in all this that I'm trying to persuade you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request none other than Senator Sigi to second.
Honorable Kajuang, you know you cannot stand on a point of order when there's no senator. Or, no. I'm afraid because he is done, he won't be able to come back. Is it a point of order or you? He has moved a motion. He has called upon Senator Asige to. All right. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, the tradition of this House is that when a member is nominated to be in a committee or a subcommittee and their names are on the order paper, they do not move the motion, they do not second the motion. Mr. Speaker, when I look at this list, I see the Honorable Senator Crystal Asige as being member number 10 of this committee. Is it in order, looking at the precedents and the traditions of the House, to have Senator Asige be the seconder? I think there could be 60 other senators who are perfectly qualified to second, and I have no problem with Senator Asige doing it, but, Mr. Speaker, it has been our tradition that we don't do it that way.
That point of order is sustained, and certainly Senator Asige cannot be the one to second this motion.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the wisdom. Mr. Speaker,
Order, senators.
I appreciate the wisdom of my colleague, Senator Kajuang, and I love the fact that he's a stickler to the procedures, and that's all we're talking about here. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request Senator Sifuna to second.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion by the Minority Whip, Senator Ledama Olekina. And allow me to begin with the words that you used in your communication this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, that in fact, this is a fundamental process in good governance and upholding of democracy. And I remember you calling us to order, Mr. Speaker, and that we treat this particular process with the highest level of responsibility. I do not take my duties as a senator of Nairobi lightly, and especially not when it comes to the process of impeachment of a governor. Mr. Speaker, I consider myself more a debating machine than a voting machine. I don't want to allude anything on any other senator, but for me, the reason I'm in this House is first to debate before questions are put to the vote. And that those people or the colleagues who insist, Mr. Speaker, on straight up going to the vote are doing themselves a disservice, because there's a song that I like by one Emily Sunday. She says, if you can never sing your song, how are we supposed to learn it? I would want to hear my colleagues debating and convincing me why of the two options that are available to the House, Mr. Speaker, the plenary is the best. For me, I'm here to do one thing and one thing only. First of all, I want to thank this SBC, because this debate in the morning, we were asking ourselves whether we should recommend or whether we should make available both choices for the House. And in fact, in the wisdom of the chair, you ruled that this is a choice for this House, that both of those choices must be put before the members, let the debate ensue, and people convince each other as to why one is better than the other. Mr. Speaker, I also have the benefit of having been a member in the last impeachment process of Governor Kawira. That committee was very ably led by my colleague from Kakamega, Senator Khalwale. Mr. Speaker, I have come to be convinced that in fact the committee way is the best way when it comes to impeachment of governor, and I'll give the reasons as to my position. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, this is a serious matter, not just for the governor herself, but also for the people of Meru. As a firm believer in devolution myself, I want counties to work. We fight every day here to get extra resources for these counties, for them to be able to work. Nobody is happy when we have dysfunctional county governments. But, Mr. Speaker, also the threshold for removal of a governor has been set in the law. It is the responsibility of this House, Mr. Speaker, to find out whether on the facts and the evidence that threshold has been made. And in my submission, Mr. Speaker, it is close to impossible in an interrogation such as the one that happens in plenary to establish the facts and the law of the allegations and whether that threshold has been met. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I believe that that responsibility of oversight of counties, and especially of impeachment of governors, is placed on the entire House, all the 67 of us. I do not see why, for instance, anyone would want to strip themselves of a role in this process by refusing the committee way. Because, Mr. Speaker, one unique thing about the committee way is the only opportunity that our nominated colleagues get an opportunity to have a say in a matter as important as the impeachment of a governor. If you do not go the committee way, Mr. Speaker, as you know, when it comes to voting...
Order, Senator Gloria. Proceed, Senator Sifuna.
When it comes to voting, Mr. Speaker, only the heads of delegations at the plenary will get to vote. This is a matter that it should be common knowledge to anybody sitting in this House, unless you don't know where you are. Mr. Speaker, the point that I was making is this. If we want to interrogate the evidence, to sift the noise, because there's been a lot of noise in social media and on the mainstream media about what is happening in Meru, I would beg this House not to join the cacophony of noise just for the sake of joining. That we do a proper analysis of the evidence, we do a proper analysis of the facts, and reach a determination that will be in the best interest of the people of Meru. I have never experienced a plenary, but those of us, our colleagues who have been there, have advised that some of the privileges, like for instance, when we were sitting in the last committee, and Mr. Speaker, I honestly would wish that you bring Senator Cherargei to order, because he's in the habit of shouting at people when they are talking here. If he has a point of order, let him raise it in the manner
Senator Cherargei, I'm giving you the final warning for the day. If you have anything, you speak through the chair. Don't engage your colleagues directly. Senator Kathuri, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the move on the second of this motion has severally mentioned Meru County, that they know what is best for Meru County. If there is anyone who knows what is best for Meru County, is none other than Kavduri Murungi. I wish they had consulted me, because they are advocating Meru issues in a very different manner. So when you are either moving or seconding, give your reasons without mentioning the great Meru County, tafadhali. I beg.
Senator Kathuri, that point of order is overruled. The role of the Senate is to offer oversight to all counties, including Meru. The motion that I'm moving is the subject matter of this motion is Meru. You cannot make any contribution without mentioning Meru. So, Senator Sifuna, kindly proceed to...
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that protection. And by the time the matter is brought to us, it is an indication of a failure of leadership in the county of Meru. So we are here to deal with your problems you should have sorted out at home. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that is the work of the Senate. It's a constitutional mandate of the Senate.
Senator Sifuna, I will not allow you to start throwing jabs. Proceed to conclude.
I conclude, Mr. Speaker, although the jab has already landed, I can see it's working, to withdraw the jab. Mr. Speaker, I want to beg this House that in fact, let us go the route of a committee that will enable us to be able to interrogate the facts, to interview witnesses. Senator Khalwale will bear me witness that the last time we were in this committee, similar committee, Mr. Speaker, the witnesses would take oath there, and you would subject them to cross-examination. And the people who have experience with the plenary, Senator Ledama, unless he was misleading me, has told me of a different story when it comes to plenary. You will not be able to do the sort of cross-examination that you would get opportunity to do in committee. And Mr. Speaker, if indeed we are going to follow your words of exercising the highest level of responsibility in this particular matter, knowing what is at stake, and by the way, we never pretend to know what is best for the people of Meru. We said we must undertake our function, our constitutional function, in a manner that is in the best interest of the people of Meru. That is not to pretend that we know better or more than those who come from there. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to second this motion and hope that our colleagues will adopt the same and proceed in that particular fashion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, kindly take your seats. Senator Omtata, unaleta matata. Tafadhali kaa. Senator Karen. Senator Shakila, kindly take your seat. So, honorable senators, I will now proceed to propose the question. Whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Senator Karen, order. Senator Cherengei. If I'm to throw out Senator Cherengei, you may have to follow behind. So, honorable senators, allow me to propose the question that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares, Volume 4/43, dated 26th October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, 27th of October 2023, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising the following senators: Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale, Senator Jackson Mandago, Senator Karungo Thangwa, Senator Esther Okenyuri, Senator Ali Roba, Senator Peris Tobiko, Senator Enoch Wambua, Senator Abdul Haji, Senator Okoit Omtata, Senator Crystal Asige, and Senator Shakila Abdallah to investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County and pursuant to Standing Order 82 to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been substantiated. Now, honorable senators, we will proceed to call any interested senator to make their contribution on this motion. What is the point of order, Majority Leader?
Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 111.1 on limitation of debate. This is a simple procedure which we need to agree whether to proceed by way of committee or by way of plenary. Mr. Speaker, I propose that within 3 minutes, you will have convinced the House to either agree or disagree with you. Therefore, if that finds favor with my colleagues, we can limit that so that as many colleagues as possible can speak on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I invite Senator Karen Nyamu to second.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Now, honorable senators, we need not really debate the motion. We can strike a consensus that we each speak for 3 minutes. If that is the consensus, can we therefore proceed in that manner? Yes. 3 minutes it is. Senator Murango James Kamau.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika kwa kunipa hii nafasi. Ya kwanza nimesimama hapa kimasomaso mchana peupe kupinga mswanda ulioletwa na kiranja walio wachache katika bunge hili. Kwanza mstahiki Spika, nadhani sisi sio kama jongoo, kwa hivyo tuna vichwa vyetu tunafaa kufikiria. Niseme ya kwamba kawaida ambayo imekuwa sasa nikawaandika katika bunge hili la Seneti ni kwamba wakati mswanda umeletwa sana sana ambao unafaa kuungwa mkono na pande zote mbili, anayeleta ule mswanda anakuwa kiongozi wa wengi, na sana sana naona akiita kiongozi walio wachache kuunga mkono ule mswanda. Mstahiki Spika, mswanda wa leo umeletwa na kiranja walio wachache na kuungwa mkono na aliyetoka upande wa wachache. Hiyo ni kusema kuna azimio fiche katika tendo hili. Kwa hivyo mstahiki Spika, mimi nimesimama hapa niseme ya kwamba sisi wengi ambao ni vijana katika bunge hili la Seneti pia tunafaa kupewa nafasi ya kusikiza, kunusa, kuonja na kusoma katika mswanda ambao unaletwa katika bunge hili. Mstahiki Spika, Mstahiki Spika, niseme ya kwamba ukiangalia katika orodha ya wale watu wamewekwa pale, katika upande walio wengi ni wale watu ambao walikuweko wakati ule ambao gavana wa Meru aliletwa katika jumba hili la Seneti. Na kwa hivyo tunataka kusema ya kwamba hiyo inanyima nafasi maseneta wengi vijana kutoka pande hii walio wengi, na kwa hivyo ningeunga mkono kwamba tuletewe mswanda kwa walio wengi. Mstahiki Spika, sitaki kukubaliana kwa kusema ya kwamba wakati gavana atakuja katika bunge hili hataweza kusikizwa kwa njia inayofaa. Ukienda katika bunge la Wandi la Gatuzi la Meru, wote wakilishi wandi 29 walisikiza na wakapitisha, 59 walisikiza na wakapitisha. Hiyo ni kusema sisi hatujafika hata hiyo, hatujafika 69, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba ya kwamba upande walio wengi tusifuate mkondo kama samaki aliyekufa, tuweze kufikiria, tuletewe mswanda katika bunge la Seneti, sisi wote tuweze kusikiza, kuchangia na kufanya maamuzi mbele ya kila mtu akiona, Kenya nzima ikitazama. Asante sana Mstahiki Spika. Napinga.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also raise my voice on this matter. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time this House is debating this particular motion. You remember we had a similar motion on the matter involving the impeachment of the Meru Governor. We had a similar motion on the matter involving the Deputy Governor of Siaya. And this House, nearly 90% of the members supported the idea of the committee. And everyone who stood up gave very good and valid reason why we need to go the committee way. Sitting here and listening to the Senator for Kirinyaga, I wonder what has changed, Mr. Speaker. Because we all said, and the answer is there, is the evidence, that we all said that for us to do a neat job, we will need to go the committee way and not the plenary way. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to support the mover, Senator Olekina, that I plead with you members, let us go the committee way so that we can do a clean job so that we can give the people of Meru the justice they're looking for. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we need to continue with this, the image that we have acquired as a Senate, that we are a responsible house that looks at issues critically before making a decision. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to have a situation where we'll come here, convert this house into a lynching house without looking at the issues very critically. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to your communication, Mr. Speaker. The last paragraph, Mr. Speaker, you have clearly stated that the principles and ideals of the Constitution must be adhered to in this impeachment process. Mr. Speaker, I fear that when we go the plenary way, we may not adhere to the principles of the Constitution, particularly on the issue of fair administrative action, because the governor would require all the rights that that are provided for in the Constitution, so that she can.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I have three quick things to say, but let me be clear from the onset that first, I rise to oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose for three simple reasons. Number one, as a leader in this House, I must learn to keep and honor my word. When I moved the motion in December last year to set up the committee, I was quite clear and still hold the same position this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, that there is no method that is better than the other. Anybody trying to peddle that kind of argument, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, is misleading the House. I say that as a ranking member. I have participated in both plenary and committee impeachment hearings. And I can tell you without a doubt, Mr. Speaker, that both processes are fair, they are sound, they have a good legal basis, and they deliver the best result for the specific county that is before the House. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, when I moved that afternoon, I promised the House that at the next time we get such an opportunity, it will be my proposal that we go the plenary way. And therefore, this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, I want to propose that the House goes the plenary way so that we listen, all of us, sit here calmly and understand what is the issue with Meru. Second thing, Mr. Speaker, is that we need a cleanup of our laws. Perhaps members are wondering, how is it that we found ourselves in this situation? We found ourselves in this situation where this motion is being moved because, unfortunately, under our own standing orders, standing order number 80 and section 33 of the County Governments Act, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, there is no procedure of directly going to committee. You must first, going to plenary, you must first reject a committee and then you find yourself in the plenary way. It is my proposal and submission before this House, Mr. Speaker, that at the end of this process, we must move a cleanup of our standing orders and that law so that we can provide it in a fair and a cleaner way so that the House makes a decision. Just like, finally, Mr. Speaker, the decision of the committee, unfortunately, if they choose to absolve the governors of the blame, that is the end of that particular process. That is something that we must review, Mr. Speaker, eventually when you are done with this process, so that the House can have a footing and a final say on such matters from start to finish, so that eventually all the 47 delegations of this House gather and make a decision. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with our colleagues, even if you're pursuing a particular interest, don't be unfair on the House. Don't cast aspersions to the House and believe that for whatever reason, members will suddenly not reason, that the only way you can concentrate is if you're reduced from being 67 to only 11 of you. I don't think that is fair to the House. The same way I will sit at a...
Senator Haji Mwenye Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa ya kuchangia mswada huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kubanduliwa mamlakani kwa gavana kwa kupitia njia ya impeachment ni jambo muhimu sana na jambo ambalo linatoa matatizo makubwa kwa yule ambaye anabanduliwa, kwa sababu ukibanduliwa mamlakani ina maana kwamba huwezi kukaa katika ofisi ya umma kwa kazi yoyote ile ambayo utakuwa una nia ya kuifanya. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima tumpe yule mhusika nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kujitetea kutokana na mashtaka ambayo yanamkabili. Mheshimiwa Spika, njia ya kamati ni njia mwafaka kabisa ambayo inampa mhusika nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kujitetea na kusikiza yale mashtaka ambayo yataletwa mbele yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa Seneti nzima, yani kupitia kwa hadhara, yani plenary, ina nafasi sawa na kamati, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini tumeona katika historia ya impeachment ya Mheshimiwa Sonko, Mheshimiwa Waititu, hawakupata fursa nzuri ya kujieleza kwa sababu kazi yenyewe ni nyingi na inatakana ifanyike kwa muda wa siku 2. Mheshimiwa Spika, wiki iliyokwisha hapa tulikuja mawaziri wawili walirudi bila kupatikana kwa kuwa tulikuwa hatuna quorum katika bunge hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukikaa hapa siku ambayo itakayotakana kukaa, na tunajua mara nyingi asubuhi wa maseneta huchelewa kufika katika bunge hili. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni aibu kwamba nafasi ya kusikiza kesi inaendelea, wale ambao wataamua kesi hawako mahakamani, lakini kesi inaendelea kusikizwa bila ya wale watakaoamua kuwako mahakama hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naona njia mwafaka ni kuwa na kamati, na kamati ile ni maseneta wote, wale ambao watachaguliwa ni maseneta kama maseneta wengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii kadhia ya kuweza kubandikia kamati masuala ambayo hayakuweza, kwa mfano tuhuma za kupokea hongo ama tuhuma za kufanya kazi bila ya kuwa sawasawa, Mheshimiwa Spika, haifai. Kwa sababu seneta yeyote ambaye anahudumu katika kamati ni seneta kama seneta mwingine, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kamati zote zinapokaa ni kamati za bunge la Senate. Kwa hivyo kadhia zote ambazo ni za kuhakikisha kwamba kuna haki na usawa zinafanyika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema kwamba nafasi ya kamati itakuwa ni ndio njia bora kabisa ya kuweza kusikiza madai ambayo yamependekezwa na bunge la kaunti ya Meru, na hiyo itawapa fursa watu wote, wabunge wa bunge la kaunti ya Meru na Governor Kawira Mwangaza watapewa nafasi sawa ya kuweza kusikiza kesi ile na kutoa uamuzi ambao utasaidia kuleta haki na usawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kuwa kama bunge hapa.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, mimi nakataa kuundwa kwa maseneta 11 ya kuchunguza mambo ya Senator Kawira, mambo ya Meru, kwa gavana wa Meru, kwa sababu mnakumbuka wakati ule mwingine tulikuwa hapa na tukachagua Senator 11, na wakati walikuwa naangalia hiyo tukawa tumemrudisha na pia tukampatia onyo kali sana. Vile nataka kusema wale MCA 59.
Senator Mundigi, hoja nidhamu yako ni gani, Senator Faki?
Senator wa Embu amesema zungusa. Sasa sijui ni kuzungumza ama ni kuzungusha.
That point of order is overruled. Just proceed, Senator Mundigi.
Senator wa Mombasa, masikio yako haisikii vizuri. Mimi umekula miraa na dawa ya kulevya. Sasa nyamaza. Niweze kusungumuza kusaidia watu wa Meru. MCA 59 walikubaliana mambo ya kutimua gavana kwa sababu ya kushindwa na kazi yake. Either gavana ni mama ama ni mwanaume, mpaka tuangalie vile.
Senator Mundigi, kadri unavyochangia katika hoja hii, tafadhali na kusihi utie manani ile tahadhari ambayo nimepeana kabla hatujaanza mdahalo huu. Hatuzungumzi ukweli, uzito, usawa ama uchache wa ile kesi. Tunazungumzia mjadala ambao uko mbele yetu kwa sasa ni aidha kama Senate tuchague kamati ndio ifanye uchunguzi ama Senate mzima ifanye uchunguzi. Kwa hivyo tafadhali usiende nje ya mada hiyo.
naomba msamaha. Ni uchungu ambaye nilio nayo kwa watu wa Meru, kwa sababu Bwana Spika, unakumbuka Embu tumeteseka kwa kipindi ya miaka 10, na kama watu wa Meru wanasikia vile tulikuwa sikia, wanaona kwa sababu alikuwa njirani, mimi naunga mkono tuwe maseneta 67, tuangalie vile itawezekana, kwa sababu tunajua wakati county 47 ni mambo ya kuangalia vile kuko. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono na kataa mambo ya hawa, tuweze kuwa sisi wote tuangalie itakuanji, kwa sababu kama watu wataka kulipisha, sioni ni vizuri, kwa sababu wakati mambo ingine yafanyika hapa ni kwa sababu tulirudisha deputy ambaye ni wa Kisumu. Sasa leo hatuwezi kumbali yote mnasema mpaka tuende Senator 67.
What is the point of order, Senator Kenya?
Bwana Spika, nilimsikiza Mheshimiwa Mundigi akisema kuzingizia kwamba senator kutoka Mombasa anaweza kuwa anatumia madawa ya kulevya. Hakumsikiza Bwana Spika. Ningependa ya kwamba alisema namna hiyo Bwana Spika. Alisema
Senator Mundigi, just sit down.
Bwana Spika, nukuu zetu Bwana Spika.
Order senators.
Alisema Bwana Spika, nukuu zetu ningependa ziondolewe kwa sababu Senator Faki ni senator wa nyumba hii, na kusema ya kwamba anaweza kutumia madawa ya kulevya si vizuri Bwana Spika.
Senator Mundigi, ikiwa ni kweli ulizungumza matamshi hayo kwamba seneta wa Mombasa, Senator Faki, anatumia madawa ya kulevya, itabidi usimame utoe katika nakala maneno hayo na tena uombe msamaha ndo uendelee kumaliza.
Naomba msamaha kwa rafiki wangu Senator wa Mombasa. Labda Senator akusikie vizuri, si kusema mambo kama hayo, kwa hivyo kama nimeongea nimeomba msamaha.
Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this proposal actually by the minority whip. And I only have two things to say today, Mr. Speaker. The first thing is that, Mr. Speaker, anytime this kind of business come to this house, it is an opportunity for us as a house to rise above the politics of the day and give this house the status that it deserves. In better way between the two ways. But I think that there was wisdom as to why they were actually put that you can either consider two options. And for me, it is circumstantial. It's circumstantial to the extent that, Mr. Speaker, the first thing that we must consider is the sanctity of this house. And why I'm saying sanctity is that we don't want to take a process that can leave us to litigation in whichever way possible. And, Mr. Speaker, we have had a house that we have these. Mr. Speaker, you must control Cherargei. He keeps on making a lot of noise.
Senator Eddie, would you wish to be informed by Senator Fernandi?
Cherargei is the most uninformed person in this house. I wouldn't wish
would you wish to be informed?
No.
It's either yes or no.
I wouldn't wish to be informed by Senator Cherargei. So, Mr. Speaker, I want us to be cautious that we do not put ourselves in a situation whereby we are going to have litigations after this particular process. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the weight of this matter is exemplified by the fact that this particular county is bringing this issue for the second time in this house. I think that if that be so, then it behooves this House to make sure that there is absolute examination of every single issue raised in this particular impeachment. And Mr. Speaker, we can't ignore the fact that if we do not take our time to examine, as thorough as a committee will do, then we will do a disservice to the people of Meru. I agree with the majority that both ways work, but the examination and justice that is needed will happen best when people are committed to examining those issues that have been raised. With that, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to oppose the motion to constitute a committee to hear the matter before the House regarding the governor, removal of the governor of Meru County. And for these reasons, Mr. Speaker. One, Mr. Speaker, this is the second time this governor is being brought for impeachment to this House. Mr. Speaker, the first time the governor was brought here, we appointed a committee. Mr. Speaker, they say only a fool does something the same way and expect different results. And Mr. Speaker, because for the first time we followed the committee way and this is the same governor, I think, Mr. Speaker, it would only be fair that this time round we try a plenary, Mr. Speaker. Number two, still on the same, Mr. Speaker, that this is the second impeachment happening in the same, within 1 year, Mr. Speaker. And I pray that you may
What is your
protect
point
me.
of order, Senator Eddy?
Please freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I raise on standing order number 105 on imputing improper motive, Mr. Speaker. The senator of Murang'a has just said that when this matter first appeared before us in this House, we tried a committee. And therefore, it's a justification enough for us to go the plenary way. Is he imputing that the committee that did the work in the previous matter did not do the right job? Is that what he's implying? And even use the word like stupid in terms of the processes, Mr. Speaker, and fools, Mr. Speaker. Is he suggesting that the committee that was anointed by this House and given that task to do the other time was not proper? And does he want a different outcome because that committee did not do a right job?
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wouldn't have wanted to spend most of my time responding to standing orders. But, Mr. Speaker, I did not say, and I think it's very important for members to listen keenly. I said, they say, they are adages, Senator, through the Speaker, only a fool does the same thing every time and expect different results. That is not me that said that, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to respond. But, Mr. Speaker, I know he wants to distract me. So, Mr. Speaker, kindly allow me to proceed with my contribution.
Order, Senators. Order, Senators. Order, Senators. Can you conclude your contribution?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just about to say before the rude interruption from the Senator from Migori that, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that this governor is being impeached for the second time. The County Assembly of Meru is like doing an appeal, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, I have a right to be heard, Senator, and then they will raise their points, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Newton, take your seat. And freeze his time, please. What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, I believe that this would fall under the ambit of anticipating debate, because what our colleague, the senator, is saying is that there is a desired result. And that, in fact, if you go the same way, you will get the same result as last time, and that result was not desirable. What we are saying to him, what we are saying, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with your guidance, nobody should anticipate what result would arise from what process. That is what you guided us to do. So he should refrain in his debate from suggesting that somehow, and by the way, Mr. Speaker, There is no such thing as a second impeachment acting as an appeal. No. I believe, I have not read the facts and the allegations, that they are based on new facts and new allegations, and that they are being treated as a new case to be examined objectively on the basis of the facts and the evidence. So he is out of order, Mr. Speaker, and I would wish that you would rule on that particular objection.
Senator Newton, the motion before us is a motion to have a special committee investigate this matter. From the onset, if I heard you correctly, you're opposed to it, and you favor the plenary. Convince your colleagues why the plenary is the best way to go, without necessarily going the route that Senator for Nairobi has just cautioned.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. I was just about to say, but you have advised me to avoid going that route. But I was just going to say that the second reason that I oppose this particular motion is because we have, from our side, the same members that had this, that did the first impeachment proceedings in this House, Mr. Speaker. And so that was my second reason. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to my colleagues saying that the committee way will be able to investigate the matter in a better way than the plenary way, Mr. Speaker. And my submission is that, Mr. Speaker, from what I know, 2 heads are better than 1. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not convinced that when members are fewer, they'll be able to do a job.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, I believe we have moved, or rather we had 2 impeachments since inception of this particular House. And I think in the last 2 impeachments, we have gone committee way. So it's important also for the members who are new to really understand how the process of plenary goes. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, it is only fair for the members of public also to understand how impeachment is carried in the Senate in a plenary. Because when we go committee way, it's the committee to sit, deliberate, and it is brought to the House whether the charges are sustained or otherwise. Mr. Speaker, I think according to me, the best way to go for the purpose of transparency in the public glaring, that plenary is the best way to go so that members of public can follow the debate and see where the problems are. Personally, I support plenary, and that will be fair to the county assembly, to the people of Meru, to the person who is impeached. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think, according to me, and I believe having sat in plenary and also committee in the last 2 Senates, the best way to go is plenary. I oppose the motion. I thank you.
Senator Wafula.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa wakati huu kuchangia. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati gavana huyu alikuwa hapa kujitetea alipoletwa hapa na kaunti yake husika, gavana huyu aliponea chupu-chupu na utetezi wake ulifanywa katika kikao ambacho hatukuwepo, lakini kwa sababu ya uamuzi wa jumla, uamuzi wa seneti kwamba waliokubaliana nayo pia si tukubali, tukakubali shingo upande. Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wa kaunti hii wana mambo ambayo wangependa kusikia yakitajwa, yakijadiliwa, yakizungumziwa peupe mchana. Watu wa kaunti hii wanataka kujua rafiki yao ni nani, asiyekuwa rafiki yao ni nani. Watu wa kaunti hii wanataka kujua seneti inajua yanayoendelea katika kaunti yao ama hapana. Watu wa kaunti hii wanajua kwamba katika majadiliano ya watu wachache kuna mazungumzo ya chini kwa chini ambayo hao hawahusiki. Leo wana nafasi kusikia wazi wale wanaoitwa madaktari, wanaoitwa maprofesa, wale ambao ni walimu, wadhihirishe uwezo wao wazi mchana kadamnasi ya umma. Ni wapi ama ni shinikizo zipi zinahakikisha kwamba wanapata haki ama wanapata nafasi ya kujieleza, kwa sababu Senate ni jumba la kutetea ugatuzi. Iwapo viongozi kama MCAs wamekata kauli kwamba lazima Pilato awape nafasi wasulubishe Barnaba ama wasulubishe Yesu, sisi ni nani, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuje hapa tuchukue nafasi yao kana kwamba hawana akili, si watu timamu kuamua hatima yao? Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Fuller, you are out of order to the extent of that particular statement.
Naomba msamaha, naomba kuondoa. Lakini kabla sijakaa, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu kwetu usema fisi aliambia jiwe, japo umenyamaza lakini umesikia. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker. First of all, I'm not too sure why Senator Kajwang would have wanted to block me from supporting my whip. However, he is very well aware that I am a musician, and an award-winning musician at that, and my voice will be heard one way or the other. Mr. Speaker, please
Order,
I will sing, but I will sing on Friday 3rd at Orchid Lounge for all of us. So please come. That's where you'll find me singing this week. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. And I've heard arguments about promises that have been made in the first impeachment motion, and now they want to be fulfilled here. But, Mr. Speaker, I will remind the House that this is not the second motion, this is the third. If a promise was supposed to have been fulfilled, it should have been done so in the impeachment of the DG of CIA. That has now come and gone, so for me that does not hold. Second, it's also been argued that the same members from the majority side are being recycled in this committee. However, Mr. Speaker, to me, that sounds like an internal wrangle, an internal communication and conversation that should have been had with senators from the majority side, with their leader, and not something that should be brought to this House as part of the debate, because Mr. Speaker, Meru does not want to know who is being recycled or not. Meru does not want, the governor does not want to know, and neither do we, Mr. Speaker. I think that is something that should have been lobbied and persuaded internally for the majority side. Mr. Speaker, I also believe that committee is the correct way to go, because interrogations will be had, and and the evidence, thank you, will be combed through in a much more succinct way than if we are sitting here throwing mud at each other, slinging at each other in terms of our debates, and then, of course, wasting the precious time of this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, I just want to reiterate the importance of giving somebody, in this case, the governor of Meru, a fair hearing, and that will be done if, in my opinion, 11 people sit down, put their heads down, and focus on the evidence and interrogate this matter to its conclusion. And thereafter, the House will have an opportunity to vote either for or against whatever the committee decides. Mr. Speaker, I want to again reiterate that I support the motion, and I thank Senator Kajwang for giving me, even though not in the first instance, this instance to do so.
Senator Mutenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise as a delegation of Meru to completely oppose this motion. One, Mr. Speaker, I want to state that as a new member in this House, it gives us an experience on matters plenary, because as Emel had promised last time, this was the way to go, so that even as a house, we can have the plenary experience. Further to that, Mr. Speaker, I have noticed that even in this motion contribution, I am the third female senator to contribute in this motion. This being a female governor, we want plenary because we want an opportunity to be able to have a feel as women senators, to be able to understand, is it leadership issues, is it other issues in this county? That is why we want plenary, so that all the voices of all the women in this house can be heard, so that we can be able to make the right decision for the great people of Meru County. You look at the list for the committee, the 11 committee members that have been put. I've had, if my mind serves me correctly, I think I've had only 3 female senators. We want a bigger voice as women, so that our voices are completely heard on the contribution that we are going to make. When the people elected the honorable governor, it was not about not knowing that she was a female. We want as female to be respected. So we want our voices to be fully heard. They can only be heard completely through plenary in this house. So I continue rising and supporting that we go the plenary way, so that completely we execute the issues of Meru extensively, massively, for the benefit of the people of Meru. The governor has been impeached again. Again, it saddens me, because we were in the first line with Senator Gloria supporting and being happy that the governor has survived. Now again, it has come back. As on this particular platform, we try the plenary way, so that we get now to understand the real issues. Also as leaders, as female, to understand the deeper issues. The only answer is on plenary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kavindu.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa hii fursa niweze kusupport hii motion ya kwamba hii impeachment ipelekwe kwa committee. Na Bwana Spika, nimesikia wengi wakisema ya kwamba hii impeachment motion ikipelekwa kwa committee haitapata haki. Hii inamaanisha kwamba zile petitions zote na statements na motions zinaletwa hapa na zinapelekwa kwa committee hazipati haki. Hazipati haki kabisa. Zinapata haki, ninaamini zinapata haki, na kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nina support hii motion ipelekwe kwa committee ili watu wa Meru waweze kupata haki yao, na pia Governor Kawira aweze kupata haki yake, na wawe na wakati wa kuwasikiliza vizuri. Bwana Spika, nimekaa kwa committee ya impeachment mara mbili. Hii ya Kawira imekwisha, na ingine ilikuwa ya Western, ilikuwa ya Northeastern. Bwana Spika, pale kuna wakati mwema sana wa watu kusikilizwa. Kama ni governor asikilizwe, kama ni malalamishi ya MCAs na watu wa Meru pia wasikilizwe vizuri kwa makini. Na kwenda kwa committee haimaanishi ya kwamba watu wa media hawezi kuja pale, watu wa Meru wakaweza kufuata kabisa kile kinatendeka kwa committee. Mimi niko kwa committee ile ya Bomb Blast 1998, na kila wakati munaona kwa media, kwa maana tunaita watu wa media pale kuja, itakuwa wazi hata kwa committee. Nina support iende kwa committee. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Wamatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise from the onset to oppose. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am quite perturbed by the mathematics that have been done in this House. I thought, Mr. Speaker, sir, that a bigger number will give us a wider base of knowledge. Mr. Speaker, sir, 11 members cannot and will never possess the knowledge that the 67 members in this House must have. As has been mentioned by my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I do not want to repeat that this is the second time that the governor will be coming here, and therefore it is very important that the whole nation, indeed, and specifically women in this country, get to follow the issues so that it will never be blamed on the Senate that it was a gendered issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, the only opportunity that we have is to open up for everybody, for all the 67, including our colleagues, the women, so that it will be said that the Senate did justice to the people of Kenya, to the people of Meru, and most importantly, to our daughters who are also aspiring in the future to become leaders. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I hear the names of the 11 members, I must admit that we do not have two sets of brains. That one you leave when you're going to the committee and the other one that you take when you're going to the plenary. Mr. Speaker, we use the same brains. Whether we are 11 here in the House or we are the whole House. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important. This is an emotive issue and we must consider the weight it carries by going the plenary way so that the whole Republic of Kenya will know that indeed this senior house, this superior house has the composition to deliver justice not only to Kenyans, but of course to the future generations. And I want also to be very future-centric. We need to give the confidence of all our daughters who aspire to become leaders that indeed the House of Senate can deliver justice by opening this so that it will be discussed in clear daylight for everybody to take home. Mr. Speaker, I oppose.
Senator Mwaruma.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support the motion by Senator Lekina. Firstly, I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that both ways, plenary way and committee way, are provided for in the standing orders. However, Mr. Speaker, one of them is better than another in terms of how we approach the proceedings. Mr. Speaker, when you go the committee way, we have an opportunity to have an in-depth understanding of the cases because we interrogate the documents better when we are fewer, Mr. Speaker. We had opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to go through the same petition of Kawira Mwangaza, Honorable, when we were led by Senator Boni Khalwale, Dr. Boni Khalwale. And I think the work that was done in that committee was a sterling job. We looked at the documents very soberly, and we came up with a finding that the allegations were not substantiated. When you went the committee way in the case of Deputy Governor for Siaya, again, the committee that was there looked at the documents, and there were some allegations that were substantiated. But again, there was opportunity when you came to plenary, again, to overturn the findings of the committee, and Honorable Odol was let off the hook. So, Mr. Speaker, I think both ways are okay because they're allowed in the standing orders, but it's better when you use a committee because then we can interrogate the issues much better to have a close understanding and a better understanding of the issues. Mr. Speaker, when I saw the list from the majority side, I knew we were set. It was a poison chalice because the same members who had participated in the other petition for Kawira Mwangaza were the same people who were put in the committees. So I knew they were set so that they can be disenchanted, so that they can be disenfranchised and vote against the committee way. So I think, Mr. Speaker, I would be waiting for the vote, but most likely, if we go the committee way, then you can give the people of Meru the justice that they require, Mr. Speaker. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me use the word of Senator Mwaruma. Thank you very much for noticing the issue of the 6 members. And Senator Ledama should have known this. And I think we don't need to waste a lot of time. Mr. Speaker, Article 181 is very clear. It talks about the impeachment of a governor. Standing Order 80B1 talks about special committee. B2 talks about the plenary. Mr. Speaker, 7 governors were impeached since 2013, starting from Governor Wambora. Governor Chepkwony, Waititu, Anne Waiguru, Mike Sonko, Mohammed Abdi from Wajir. This is to notify Senator for Machakos. We don't have a governor, a county called Northeastern. We have a county called Wajir. That is where Mohammed Abdi comes from, was impeached. And the latest governor to be impeached now is Senator Kawira Mwangaza from Meru. And also, we had an opportunity to have our guest here, Deputy Governor, Dr. William Odwol. William Odwol went through 11-member, Martin Wambora, 11-member committee, Chepkwony, 11-member committee, Anne Waiguru went through 11-member committee, and also Mohammed Abdi went through 11-member committee. And the latest one, the previous Governor Kawira went through 11-member. And Waititu went through plenary, and also Senator Governor Mike Sonko, Sonko's impeachment went through plenary. Mr. Speaker, these methods are all okay. And I don't want to say I will support it or oppose it. But I would want to ask our brothers on the other side, let us not argue on this. Let's go plenary way, because it's an experience for some of us also to learn this process for new members like me and others, and those members who didn't go through this process. I will request kindly, let's follow this process and have plenary way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise to comment on this motion, the leadership of this House, and those are the gentlemen and women we have put in the Senate Business Committee, should spare us this agony that we are going through. Mr. Speaker, this debate has not helped to educate anybody. It has only helped to expose the bias amongst the judges sitting in this House. Senators will be sitting as judges, and the bias is clear. Everyone who stands on my side supports. Everyone who stands on the other side opposes. And yet we have not even heard the case. We have only read the charges. Mr. Speaker, in future, I want to encourage the SPC, because that is where the numbers are balanced, and we've got our leaders that we trust and the leaders that we have entrusted with a mandate to bring us a formula that will not be subjected to debate. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the leader of majority referred to Standing Order number 80.
What is the point of order, Senator Ledama?
And won 4 of them.
Mike. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise on Standing Order number 80, which is the standing order that we are prosecuting. And I would not wish to disrupt my colleague and brother, who I respect quite a lot. But is the distinguished senator from Homa Bay in order to suggest that the House Business Committee can make a decision which is clearly stipulated on how that decision should be made in our standing order? Mr. Speaker, this House, the House Business Committee, deals with the calendar of the House. Matters are resolved. In fact, when you read, Mr. Speaker, you clearly indicated that this is a decision, a resolution of the Senate. The House Business Committee is not the Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to persuade my brother.
Even the donation and the payment option. Remember,
Order, and not point Aspasia on the House business, but call upon the entire House to amend the law as well as amend the standing orders so that a formula can be brought which will not solicit the debate that people will need to decide that people have already made up their mind. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like you to find my dear brother out of order.
Senator Kajwang. The decision as to whether to go the committee way or the plenary is a decision to be made by the House. The SBC can only facilitate a member wishing to bring a motion on the committee. In this regard, the SBC facilitated the tabling of the motion by the Senator for Narok. But the decision ultimately is supposed to be done by the House.
Speaker, because it's a matter of interpretation, I do not necessarily have to agree with you, Mr. Speaker, because if you look at Standing Order number 81B...
Senator Kajwang, the chair has ruled.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not challenge your ruling.
Please,
but
proceed to
what standing order, and I'm not challenging your ruling. I am proceeding with what I wanted to say.
Proceed,
that
please.
the standing orders, the only thing that requires a resolution is a special committee. The plenary is the default mode of operation of this House. If you want a special committee, you bring a resolution. You seek a resolution of the House. Otherwise, by default, this Senate is supposed to process impeachments in plenary. Special committee is an exception that is acquired through a resolution of the House. And I'm not challenging, Mr. Speaker, I am not challenging the tabling of this motion, because this motion seeks the resolution. Yes. So there's nothing wrong with the motion. But the default position of the Senate is to prosecute in plenary so that all of us can be present. Mr. Speaker, I want to finalize by saying that let us be extremely careful so that those people in the county assembly, in Meru, and in the entire nation does not start looking at us through the coalition colors and through the coalition formations. This debate has been fairly poisonous, and it is exposing some bias that might be prejudicial to what we will be dealing with in the next couple of days. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Senator Ledama. Senator Ledama. Order. Order. Senator Chirange. And I need Senator Kajwang. The mandate of the Senate is to prosecute this matter at the plenary. However, the Senate, in its own wisdom, can decide to form a committee. Yes. Senator Chirange.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the motion from the onset on the 3 reasons. One, Mr. Speaker, the trophy and the defenders of devolution today in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, goes to the great members of County Assembly of Meru. Mr. Speaker, I hope many MCAs should benchmark with the wonderful work that the MCAs of Meru are doing. They have been very consistent and patient, and I want to laud them for taking the bold step, Mr. Speaker. You know, unfortunately, governors have made most of our MCAs as their partners in bad governance in counties, Mr. Speaker. This should be a warning to many county governors that when you have MCAs who play their rightful role of oversight, Mr. Speaker, then it is very important. So I allowed, Mr. Speaker. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, there are reasons as to why Standing Order number 80 and Section 33 is very clear. Mr. Speaker, when we prosecute either by committee or by plenary, Mr. Speaker, I want to invite most of the colleagues who have never had the privilege and rare opportunity of prosecuting to plenary, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Senator Eddy?
Freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I rise with the point of order of limiting debates. Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Nandi has just prosecuted on this matter conclusively. Stood in front of this House and gave a judgment on the work of MCAs and on the personality of the governor for Meru, which, in his own wisdom, what you read as charges that were forwarded before us, the governor stands guilty. Mr. Speaker, the debate that we are having here is whether we are going to prosecute these matters on principle in committee or in the plenary. Is Cherargei in order, Senator Cherargei in order, Mr. Speaker, to make a judgment on substantive issues that we are yet to discuss as a House, Mr. Speaker? And Mr. Speaker, you in your ruling, Mr. Speaker, I find this one grossly disorderly, Mr. Speaker. Given that you had given Senator Cherargei a lot of warnings, Mr. Speaker, and I think that he's doing this deliberately, Mr. Speaker, perhaps to actually disregard the orders that you're giving, Mr. Speaker. I think you should find him in order, Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you so, and throw him out of this house, Mr. Speaker, because he's reducing this house to a mere theater of jokes, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, I gave the guidance when I was giving the communication. What is before you is a motion to pass a resolution for special committee. Either you're for it or you're not for it. The substance of the impeachment cannot be the subject matter of any senator's contribution here. It's either you're opposing and you give the reasons why you think the plenary will be a better forum to handle this matter. Kindly avoid delving into the substance of the impeachment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm well guided, but in the words of Burning Spear, there is a saying that we are not all that stupid, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to borrow in the words of Lucky Dube, Mr. Speaker, the reggae, that justice, fairness, and social equality should be the cornerstone, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm saying is we need to ensure that there are principles of natural justice. Mr. Speaker, plenary, Waititu case, Songo case, among other governors that were, we listened to, Mr. Speaker, through plenary, it gives opportunity to new members to learn. Because Senate should be the learning curve to expose them, Mr. Speaker. The committee way is limited because at the resolution of the committee, I had a misconception and misleading the House at some point by some members that saying Senate will have the second bite on the cherry. It does not have, Mr. Speaker. Because when the committee sits and agree that governor is not guilty or not guilty, Mr. Speaker, then that matter ends there, Mr. Speaker. So we are ready to listen to the plenary way as we listen to the tunes of guitar, Mr. Speaker, so that we understand. Be very keen and be ready to listen, Mr. Speaker. So I propose that we go to plenary way. I have been the champion of plenary way on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, so that we have opportunity, Mr. Speaker, so that Senator Crystal Asige, and I want to inform members, Mr. Speaker, for benefit, because I rarely give out my advice pro bono, Mr. Speaker, but today I do it for free. Mr. Speaker, you have opportunity to cross-examine, to analyze, to look at the documentation, Senator Okiya Omtata, so that when somebody moves to court, the way Senator Okiya Omtata moved, Mr. Speaker, they will not question that Senate did not consider, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I oppose. Let us go to plenary way. And I thank my chair, Mr. Speaker. He is always brilliant. Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang is the man to watch.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, I can only pick a senator from this side whose name is on the dashboard. As we speak, the names on the dashboard are all from this side. So if you wish to speak, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say something which hasn't been said, that you see, and honorable members who are practitioners in the courts, Mr. Speaker, when a witness appears before you, you have the benefit of looking at that witness. You see the eyes, you see the demeanor of that witness, you appreciate even the voice in terms of presentation, whether that person is actually telling the truth. You have the opportunity to feel that witness. Now, since this Senate is going to be sitting as a court, Mr. Speaker, it's fair, and I'm trying to, appeal to the legal minds on the other side, that, Mr. Speaker, Since we are
What is
sitting
your point of
as
order,
a court,
Senator Asige? Senator Mungatana, kindly yield.
I will yield.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I wanted, it's a point of clarification. Is the good Senator Mungatana trying to imply that people who cannot see will not be able to prosecute a matter? Is because we know very well that we even in Kenya have a judge who is blind, and he does a fantastic job. And he does not see the witness's demeanor, their facial expressions, or anything else in terms of body language. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like some clarification from Mungatana if that point in his argument is actually factual. Thank you.
Senator Mungatana,
Mr. Speaker,
be sensitive on this matter.
I hardly wish to engage my very good friend, because we come a long way with the old man. So I don't want to go that way. But even if you have challenges in terms of visual challenges, Mr. Speaker, you still, when the witness is before you, you feel the voice. You feel it. And Mr. Speaker, especially for people who have been in these courts for a long time, you can actually tell whether a witness is telling a lie or telling the truth. So, Mr. Speaker, my point, which hasn't been said, is that we want the court, the entire Senate, to have the benefit of the witness. I want to see Kawira Mwangaza, because the last time I never saw her. I never heard anything from her. I just, the committee sat and then said she was okay. I want to see her. I want to see what is the problem. How does this person who is disturbing the entire Meru, how does she look like, Mr. Speaker? I just want to see. I support that we should have plenary. I oppose this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo. Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I must thank you because I landed back today from Angola, where you had appointed me to represent this country at the IPU Assembly. And that shows that you have confidence in me. Mr. Speaker, the same thing I can say, whoever put my name on this motion to be a member of the 11-member committee has a lot of confidence in me. Because, Mr. Speaker, I really was part of that committee previously. Maybe probably I bring institutional memory, and probably I know a thing or two. And that's why I'm standing here, Mr. Speaker, to support this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have to support it because I believe the committee work is supposed to investigate and, of course, substantiate the allegations. Now, how does a plenary investigate, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I believe in the rule of law, in processes, because I know one day, one time, I'm going to be here, Mr. Speaker. What I'm trying to insinuate, Mr. Speaker, the only problem...
What is the point of order, Senator Cheriot?
Mr. Speaker, wouldn't it have been, I'm just curious, I've heard Senator Karungo say, how does the plenary do an investigation? Then my question to him is, how will you find out if you don't give yourself the chance to serve in a plenary? Because you've had the opportunity to serve in a committee. Do not be victim of the misinformation that is being peddled on the floor. I have told you, as your leader, and I cannot mislead you, that there is nothing that you can do in a committee which you cannot do in plenary, including questioning the witness.
That is more of a point of information than a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that information. I hope you freezed my time. Mr. Speaker, Senator Chute enumerated very well those who went through the committee and those who went through the plenary. May I inform this House that those who went through the committee, they are still in office or they never left office. Those who went through the plenary, they are home today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so, but my issue.
Order. If you have information to pass, you know exactly what to do.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator.
before I'm informed, I am standing here to say that I believe in the committee way. The only problem with the committee is when they find out that grounds are not substantiated, we don't discuss that report. And that's why I have a bill that is in your office, Mr. Speaker. Probably it will be here, whereby we should always be going through the committee. But either, whether they find substantiated or not substantiated, it must be brought to the plenary for scrutiny so that we can go through it, all of us. But a committee will always do a good work by writing to offices. Now imagine, we want to stand here as a plenary and I want to investigate myself. Do I write as Senator Dhangwa or do I write to the Speaker for the Speaker to write to that office? But a committee has a chair.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to this motion before I decide whether to oppose or to support. Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to have served in the first impeachment as a committee member, and quite sincerely, I hold a favorable view that a committee will do justice to this impeachment process by getting the opportunity to be able to look in depth into the issues. However, Mr. Speaker, I was disadvantaged. It was unfortunate enough the behavior that was portrayed during the first impeachment by members of this House. And members of this House were people who are not members of the committee who really went ahead to give even derogatory statements directly in the face of committee members in the most disrespectful manner, without any justification whatsoever, that has really put a lot of, question mark on, the diligent investigation done by the committee and the decision that the committee undertook. And eventually, what came out is a situation that manifested a position of distrust within our own members here. And I want to go on record for purposes of, for the benefit of the people of Meru County, for them to understand we are not prosecuting anything at the Senate right now. We're only trying to agree on modalities of execution of the responsibility before us, and as such, there's no predetermined position. We're only agreeing which both ways are legal. I incline, because of that bad experience and the position of distrust that was portrayed by members of this House, that maybe for the benefit of them getting to understand the treacherous work that the committees undergo, to give them the opportunity for that to be executed through the plenary as suggested. Both ways are legal, and Honorable Speaker, I am not responding to my brother Kajwang, but there is nothing wrong, with holding different views, in terms of whether A or B, in terms of what is constitutionally allowed. And we're only taking that position. That is my take, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I oppose.
Senator Akinyi Beatrice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the position that we go the committee way. One, Honorable Speaker, from the presentations earlier, one of the senators indicated that we should give new members an opportunity to also get the experience of the committees. And Honorable Speaker, I've seen in the names that have been forwarded, Senator Sige is one of them. She had not been a member of an earlier committee, And so I want to support, that will be a very good opportunity for her also to experience the committee way. And Honorable Speaker, that should also follow that a number of us that are new in the next time will also get an opportunity to experience the committee way of dealing with impeachment. And Honorable Speaker, the second reason why I want to support going by the committee is that committees are also...
Order, Senators. Senator Miraj.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The committee will also ensure that the matter is dealt with clarity, Honorable Speaker, because there will be fewer members, less time is spent in the deliberations. And so, Honorable Speaker, I support the committee way so that we also want to see the committee should also intensely study how over 3/4 of MCAs would vote against the governor. And that can only be determined by intensively looking at the matter in a more, where less members are. I therefore support the committee way, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Veronica.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I rise to oppose this motion for the reason that Standing Order 80 provides for the procedure for removal of a governor. It provides either for plenary and provides for a special committee. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the functions that are laid out in Standing Order 82A and B, Mr. Speaker, the function remains the same for both the special committee and the plenary, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, just in line with the message you read to this House, as you were detailing the charges that have come from the Meru County, it was clear, Mr. Speaker, that when Senate resumes as plenary or as a special committee to consider the charges that are levied against the governor, Mr. Speaker, either the special committee or the plenary will have the function to investigate the matter, and it will suit as a quasi-judicial body, Mr. Speaker. That means it will not be ordinary debate. It will be a body that will be investigative in nature. Any document that is presented, nothing will stop the Senate, the plenary, Mr. Speaker, from questioning any document, taking evidence, Mr. Speaker, calling and cross-examining any witness who appears before the plenary or the special committee. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I have found a bit of submissions that have been brought to this House almost not in consonance with Standing Order 80. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Some senators are thinking that when Senate recedes to discuss or investigate this matter, they will be operating as a normal debate. That cannot be further from the truth, Mr. Speaker. And if, Mr. Speaker, the plenary is not good enough, then the special committee is not good enough. So if the plenary is good, if the special committee is good, then the plenary is good enough, because the special committee will be drawn from the same body of senators, Mr. Speaker. It's not outsiders coming in here. It's the same group of senators, Mr. Speaker. When it is in the plenary, Mr. Speaker, it gives an opportunity to many more senators to bring in their perspective, raise all the questions, interrogate the matter that is before the House, Mr. Speaker, and it brings a richness that comes from the diversity of the number of senators who will be sitting here. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose that motion and say that both should be treated equally. And what the plenary or the special committee will need to do is observe what is provided for under Article 50 of the Constitution to render a fair process to the governor when she appears here and to those who are complaining against the governor, Mr. Speaker. And for those reasons...
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I have listened very carefully to my colleagues who are supporting the motion to have this process done in a committee, and I cannot state a single reason. They say no process is better, but the committee is better. Mr. Speaker, barely 1 year since Governor of Meru, Governor Kawira Mwangaza, appeared before the Senate on an impeachment motion. She is back again. And Mr. Speaker, the day that it was ruled in the County Assembly of Meru that the governor had been impeached, headlines were flowing. The conversation was national. And Mr. Speaker, such a matter that has elicited such interest, such national interest, it is proper as a House that we make the decision to have the plenary process because it is more transparent, it is more inclusive. Kenyans want to know what is happening in Meru. And this process is going to give even an integrity to this House because it is going to be open. Nothing is being done behind closed doors. And Mr. Speaker, a motion that Sifuna supports with so much vigor, I cannot be part of. Senator Sifuna, sorry. I must oppose it because for reasons best known to me and my other colleagues who agree with me. So, Mr. Speaker, we have, precedents have been set before of successful plenary sessions that executed impeachment processes. Successfully, some saved the governor and some sent the governor home. So, Mr. Speaker, let this House rise to the occasion and do what the country is expecting of us, which is to make this process as open as possible to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Miraj.
I'm joking.
Mbona? Asante mstahiki Bwana Spika, na mimi nasimama kupinga hoja hii. Nakubaliana na seneta mwenzangu Tabitha ya kwamba sisi kama wanawake tutakuwa wachache katika kutoa mwelekeo wa impeachment hii. Kwa hivyo mimi pia naungana na walio wengi kusema hiyo hoja iletwe hapa tuisikize sote kwa pamoja. Asante.
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a staunch defender of women and women's rights, I stand to oppose the motion that has been tabled by Senator Ledama. Mr. Speaker, I've been on record talking about fair hearing. I've been on record talking about transparency, Mr. Speaker. And I believe wherever Governor Kawira is seated and watching and following, I believe that I speak on behalf of her thoughts today, that she wants to come to the public finally to defend and to tell us what is really happening, Mr. Speaker. And plenary offers her that opportunity, Mr. Speaker. As women leaders, we are tired of people insinuating that we are flower girls, insinuating that we are being protected. Let her come to plenary, Mr. Speaker, and defend her leadership and defend what she thinks or she assumes is good governance, Mr. Speaker. Because as women of this country, women leaders, Mr. Speaker, we are tired of being assumed. So, Mr. Speaker, I support that we go for plenary. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that I really want to question, since the last report was tabled of Governor Kawira's impeachment, how many of the 67 senators have actually read that report and can actually tell us that these were the grounds of letting her go? Mr. Speaker, we all know that we trust the committees to do the job and we trust their leadership, Mr. Speaker. And so therefore, when the report is tabled, we trust that the committee has done a good job. But for once, Mr. Speaker, especially for us new senators, we want to interrogate all these questions that are being raised concerning her impeachment, Mr. Speaker. And I stand here, I'm saying this as a staunch defender, a devoted and committed woman leader who really supports women leadership. We would like to see Governor Kawira in plenary so that she can be able to speak on her own behalf and even defend women leaders who are defending her out there. And if she's found guilty,
Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one. I'll be the first one to say this woman must go home. And if she's found innocent, Mr. Speaker, I will be the first one again, yet again, as we walked with her down these corridors, to walk with her and show people that women leaders can be given a chance and they can deliver. So I don't think that there's an issue of what we are debating. Let Governor Kawira come to plenary and defend her position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sige.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak to also this particular motion. And from the very onset, Mr. Speaker, I oppose the motion to subject this investigation before a committee. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time that the Senate, the governor is appearing before this House. And this is not the first investigation or impeachment motion that is brought before this House. From the time the Senate was established, we've had 13 out of 13, Mr. Speaker. 3 have gone through plenary, 10 have gone through the committee. There is no harm if this one goes to the plenary. And for the following reasons, and that is why I'm opposing the motion, is that the accusation that if it goes before the plenary, there will not be proper or appropriate investigation is not founded on any basis. The team of senators in this House, whether from the minority or majority, will apply their mind. They will investigate on the evidence that will be brought before the House, subject the governor to an inquiry, and she will be given an opportunity to defend herself. There is no basis to say that there will be a better outcome if it goes before the committee rather than if it goes or if it comes to the plenary. And that is one of the main reasons as to why I wish this particular impeachment is dealt with before the whole House. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, is what you've heard of the list of the senators who've been proposed to sit in the committee. We all desire to also learn. The majority leader has made reference to the fact that you can only experience by learning. We also desire to have an opportunity to question, to investigate, and to inquire from the governor before the plenary, because not all of us are able to fit into the 11-member committee. And for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I oppose the motion that the committee way be the preferred way. And I thank you.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I arise to oppose the motion. And Mr. Speaker, as I do so, I want to say that there was wisdom. The drafters of the standing orders of this House gave 2 options, through plenary or through a special committee. But, Mr. Speaker, both options will do one particular thing, that is to investigate, whether plenary or in the committee. Mr. Speaker, what is investigation? If you read in the dictionary, it says it is carrying out systematic or formal inquiry to discover and examine the facts so as to establish a truth. The question, Mr. Speaker, that arises is it possible in the plenary to undertake systematic and formal investigation? And the answer is yes. Just as also it is true that in committee, you can do the same. Mr. Speaker, when this issue came before the House, the first time the governor for Meru was impeached, Mr. Speaker, this House gave a chance to the committee. And Mr. Speaker, we know the consequences of that particular impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, today we have the second impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, I think it is prudent for this House, this time round, we should be able to allow plenary to deal with this matter, Mr. Speaker, so that we discover, we do the inquiry. And Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with what Senator Nyeri spoke about. We don't think better in special committee than when we're in plenary. In fact, to me, Mr. Speaker, the debate and the discussion plenary will actually even be more transparent, open. Mr. Speaker, I think it is wrong for anybody to imagine that by having a plenary debate on this impeachment, then we are going to deny the governor a chance, Mr. Speaker, to prove our case. Mr. Speaker, the same Standing Order 80 is clear that this governor will choose to have a representation by a legal counsel.
Senator Seki. What is the point of order, Senator Sifuna?
With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 109, I would like to propose that we now call the mover to reply.
Senator Sifuna, go to Standing Order 110.4. I'll just read it for the benefit of your colleagues and yourself in particular. 109.3, in fact. Do you wish to proceed with your point of order? No. Good. Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to oppose this motion on the impeachment of Governor Kawira. I want to take this opportunity to say that this Senate, this House, has an opportunity to understand more about the issues of Meru County, rather than going to the committee way. I suggest that and propose that we go the plenary way, because it will give us opportunity to hear for ourselves, to see what is happening in Meru County, and understand more problems that are coming from the governor herself. I want to take this opportunity to say that going the committee way, we tried that, and it is another chance that we also experience this opportunity to go the plenary way. I want to say that, yes, it is true. We have seen this House going through committee ways in different or with different governors that who have been impeached. But I believe that this process of plenary will give us a chance as new senators also to debate and also to give our contribution as delegations of counties to this motion. So I think I do oppose this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as by Standing Order 80, the Senate, we have the two options, either to go to plenary or committee way. I want to speak as the chair of, I was the chair for impeachment motion for Deputy Governor for Siaya, and during that particular impeachment motion and the process, Honorable Speaker, we were able to give both sides, the accusers and the Deputy Governor, enough time. We sat as a committee through the night looking at all the reports. From my side, Honorable Speaker, I believe the committee way is the best way to go. Honorable Speaker, members have an issue with the 6 members from Kenya Kwanza side who sat December last year when they were presiding over the impeachment motion for Kawira. I believe the reason why they're put there by the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, it's because they want them to bring historical memory. That's the reason why they are there, so that they can help to check if the accusations that have been brought again are the same. Honorable Speaker, it's not that when we have 11 members, the others, Honorable Speaker, when we did that impeachment process, the process was covered live. The people of Meru, the MCS from Meru, they'll be able to see, because all the media houses will be there covering live, the same as if we have it at plenary. So by going to committee way, we are not losing anything. If anything, we'll gain, because if the committee finds that there is substantiated allocations, then it will come to the committee. It will come to plenary. There'll be two options. I mean, there'll be two opportunities for the speaker, for the governor. Honorable Speaker, I support this motion and ask my colleagues, this is a bipartisan motion, just to agree on numbers on a committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Kenywa.
Asante sana, Bwana Speaker.
But who has given you that permission to stand? Senator Kenywa.
Asante, Bwana Speaker, kwa kunipa fursa hii.
What is your point of order, Senator Mtata?
Order number 109, and ask that the move of the motion be now called upon to reply, because we are now bombing rubble. We are repeating ourselves. There's nothing new being said. So let the mover be called to reply.
Now, Honorable have a seat, Senator Folamu. You can take your seat, please. Now, Honorable Senators, Senator Omtata has read the mood of the House and is seeking for the chair to call the mover to reply. Now, will as many? No. Senator Maruma, take your seat. This is a matter we can dispense with in a minute. Okay? So I will proceed to put the question. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? So the ayes have it. Senator Ledama, proceed to reply.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. I rise to reply. And Mr. Speaker, I've listened to all our colleagues make contributions. And as I reply, Mr. Speaker, there are a few things that I think are important that must be clarified for particularly the new members who have come here, so that when you make a decision, either way, you know, the beauty of debates, Mr. Speaker, is that you're either for or against. My job is to persuade you to find it fit to support the motion, but with reason. Debate, when I was in school, I was taught that debate enriches skills. It also challenges you to be able to think outside the box. Mr. Speaker, during the submissions of our colleagues, one of our colleagues have indicated clearly that it is important for the governor to be able to come to this plenary so that she can be able to defend herself and all senators get a chance to cross-examine her. Mr. Speaker, I want to correct that assertion. When we sit as 67 members of the Senate, we'll only sit as a jury. The only thing we can be able to do is to seek clarification. You will rise and say, can you please clarify what you just said?
The reason why, Mr. Speaker, I was persuading, and this is why I still want to persuade you, to consider the committee way is because that is the only option you'll have to cross-examine any witness. Sitting here during plenary, Mr. Speaker, will all be juries. In fact, these televisions will be switched off, and then all of us, after the governor and the assembly have made their case, sit down to now consult and talk among each other as juries, 67 of us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important that any decision we make as a Senate, we make it when we are fully informed. Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade the new members who have made an argument that they have not been given an opportunity to be able to experience a committee, and they want to be given an opportunity to participate in an impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, on our side of the divide, we propose new members. And in fact, out of the 11 members, we have proposed in total, for both sides, 4 women. That is above a third. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that we are discussing about precedents. We are discussing, Mr. Speaker, about procedures, whether committee, whether plenary. If you are sitting there thinking that in plenary, you'll get an opportunity to cross-examine a witness, the news is you will not be able to do that. You'll only be a jury. So those are the issues that we must consider, Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators.
As we make our decision.
Senator Boni, and Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are a new democracy. In fact, now I'm happy that soon we'll be celebrating 60 years of independence. We have chosen a presidential system of governance. In the United States, Mr. Speaker, during an impeachment process, a group of representatives who are referred to as managers prosecute the matters and then submit. Once the charges have been read, they prosecute the matters and then submit a report for the full House to debate. We are quite far, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the issue of understanding issues to do with the impeachment process. And I know, Mr. Speaker, and I want to persuade my colleagues that I know that we are sitting here, and in most cases, Mr. Speaker, what drives us is our political affiliation, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind us, and as I persuade you, as I close, Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade you that whatever happens today, remember it will go on record. It is something which will be able to help build this Senate. I know as you sit there, you've made up your mind. But for the people of Meru, it is important for the people of Meru to know that today we are not prosecuting, we are not debating the issue
Honorable Senators.
of either to send the governor away. The only thing we are debating is whether
What is your point of order,
to give
Senator,
it to
for
11
Meru?
members of the Senate to be
What is
able
your
to
point of order,
cross-examine
Senator, for
witnesses.
Meru? Senator Ledama.
Honorable Speaker, it is very unfortunate that I did not get an opportunity also to speak on this particular matter which is touching on my county. But Mr. Speaker, you know, Honorable Rendama, Senator Rendama convinced us enough. And I think he is just delivering his points that he gave us. So can you kindly summarize? Can you just summarize and then we make the decision? Yes. Yeah, you just summarize your reply. You don't need to. That is the reason why we could have been given 2 minutes each, because I was on the queue also. It is not fair at all.
Senator for Meru. Indeed, I am aware. Indeed, I'm aware that this matter originates from your home county. However, if you look at our standing orders, the mover has 20 minutes to make a reply. So, Senator Ledama, you are left with 3 of the 20. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I thought I was left with 17 of the 20, but I will respect...
Proceed, the 3 minutes now you have
Within
2.
3 minutes, Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude as follows. You know, we can make all the noise. And, Mr. Speaker, please...
Order. What is the point of order,
Talk
Senator
to Senator Cherargei.
Cherargei?
Freeze my time.
Mr. Speaker, I needed for future engagement. I'm raising understanding order number 98, number 103, number 47, 48, and number 111. Mr. Speaker, I need your interpretation. When a motion is limited after you have put the open for the debate, does it mean that the mover, when they are replying, are also limited to 3 minutes? My interpretation and the upshot in such, so that we don't go to conundrum, Mr. Speaker, is to have the mover to reply, to restrain themselves to 3 minutes, because that is the import of standing order number 111. So is it in order, Mr. Speaker, to request you kindly, understanding what number 1 and the import of standing order 111, to call the mover, Mr. Speaker, to just finish under 3 minutes, just like any Mr. Speaker, because this is like Animal Farm. It's not like Animal Farm where, Mr. Speaker...
Senator Fernandi, had you not showed up on a point of order, Senator Ledama will be through by now. I said he had 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you for the guidance. I just needed that clarity. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you know, my dear brother from Nandi love to hear the sound of his
Senator
voice.
Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just proceed to
All right.
conclude.
Let me conclude in 2 minutes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to conclude with the following. Number 1, that it is important for us to know the facts of either committee or plenary. During committee, our distinguished 11 senators will get a chance to retreat, to go and write a well-thought-out report and come back here to be able to persuade us either to send the governor home or to save the governor. During plenary, Mr. Speaker, this will only take 2 days. There is no time to go and retreat. And looking at the calendar, Mr. Speaker, it is quite evident that maybe we'll have only the 7th and the 8th, and that's done. So, Mr. Speaker, as we leave this House today, and as my colleagues from both sides of the aisle make their determination on whether to go plenary or committee, remember that impeachment is a very painful process that I would never wish for anybody. So I plead with you to support...
Order, members.
My brother from Meru, I have a lot of tremendous respect, Mr. Speaker, for the Deputy Speaker. But the Deputy Speaker, being the Deputy Speaker, sits in that seat, knows the rules of debate. The issue here is this. Let us not make it a shouting matter. I am trying to convince you, if we bring Narok here, I'll be sitting here, you will tell me the same thing. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply, and I request you to support.
Thank you. Now, honorable senators, as you may notice, this is a procedural motion. It does not go to the substance of the subject of impeachment. It is a procedural motion. And therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, I will proceed to make my determination, which is it does not affect the counties, being a procedural motion. Senator Eddy, I will throw you out. And therefore, I will proceed now to put the question. At the end of the question, voting shall be by voice. Honorable senators, and I put the question. Senator Karen Nyamu, kindly walk in and take your seat. That whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th of October, 2023, the Meru County Assembly Order, members. How will you vote if you won't hear the question? Or what are you going to vote on if you cannot be still to hear the question? Order, members. That whereas, pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference M/Cares Volume 4/43, dated 26th of October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, 27 October 2023, the Speaker of Meru County Assembly, Senator Cherangei, informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now, therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising the following senators: Senator Dr. Boni Kalwale, CBS MP; Senator Jackson Mandago, EGH MP; Senator Karungo Tangwa MP; Senator Esther Okenyuri MP; Senator Ali Roba, EGH MP; Senator Peris Tobiko, CBS MP; Senator Enoch Wambua, CBS MP; Senator Abdul Haji MP; Senator Okoeti Omtata MP; Senator Crystal Asige MP; and Senator Shakila Abdallah MP, to investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County, and pursuant to Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been substantiated. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it.